When it comes to organizing your life, I think one of the best places to start is really knowing yourself and knowing what your likes are, what your dislikes are. Because if you have goals similar to somebody else, you guys probably have very different ways of achieving those goals and be walking down a very different path on how you get to those goals. So while people may have advice for you or tips for you, which is great, I think it's really important to know yourself first before even thinking about other people's input, because when you know what your desires are, how your lifestyle is, the time you wake up, when you feel most productive in the day, etc., all these things play a role in how you organize yourself in a way to achieve those goals. For the new year, one of your goals is to really start getting organized. Or if you have goals, I think a great place to start is getting organized. Then you are in good company, because we all out here trying to get organized and meet our goals. And so I'm just going to share some tips and things with you all that have helped me, and things that I'm still using that I'm implementing in my life now to help me achieve those goals. But most importantly, really declutter my life and organize it in a way so that I can meet those goals. My name is Chloe. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and welcome if you've never been here before. Be sure to like and subscribe so that you can see more videos like this in the future. So let's dive in. So I'm gonna grab my notebook and we are gonna get started. So the first one is kind of what I touched on at the beginning of the video, is knowing what you want. And I think like avoiding trends, avoiding others' desires and opinions. When people have opinions, that's great. But really having tunnel vision and knowing, again, yourself and what you want. So for me, something that I do is I look at what are the things that I'm doing every single day that is going to drive me closer to my purpose. What do I believe? Do I believe that this is going to help me reach my purpose ultimately? That's just something to keep in mind. Like little habits that I do every single day. Is this something that is going to bring me closer to what I want to do in life, what I want to achieve in life, what I believe that I was created to do in this season of life? And then even in years ahead, like how is this pushing me towards that thing? I read a book called Atomic Habits. A lot of people have heard about this book. You may have heard about this book, but I think it's a good book to dive into and really kind of study and read, and then not just read it, but like implement it. And one of the things that is talked about in the book is habit stacking, where you take something that you're already doing and then you start to add to that. So for example, for me, I had a habit already of brushing my teeth every night. But flossing is something that I wanted to start implementing because I was getting so many cavities. I had like 17 cavities, and that was the point where I was at the dentist and I was like, I'm tired of having my gums numb and I can't eat, can't talk. It was just so annoying, and I was done with that. And I remember the dentist would always say to me, like, you need to start flossing more. But it wasn't a habit. Like I would forget or I wouldn't feel like it. But after reading that book and he talked about habit stacking, I knew that brushing my teeth was already a habit that I had incorporated in my life. So I just learned to add flossing to that. Another thing, or idea is like if you want to start exercising more or stretching more. If you already have a habit or nighttime routine of like washing your face, maybe after that you can move into, okay, this wind down time, now I can start my exercise routine or my stretching routine, whatever it is. But I think that little things like this, those little decisions that you make such a big impact in the long run. And just having those healthy habits to really keep yourself organized in a way so that you can meet those goals kind of takes the pressure off you a little bit, because once you have those habits in place, it's hard to kind of break those habits. So for me, because flossing is such a part of my routine now, even if it's like 1 a.m. and I'm so tired and ready to go to bed, it's like I can't not do it because it's just so ingrained in me now. It's a habit. Sure, there may be some times where I don't, but most of the time that's pretty rare for me. The second topic, or the second thing, is we said know what you want, but it's also important to know what you don't want. And I think for both of these, knowing what you want and knowing what you don't want, understand why. Understanding why you don't want something or why you don't like something, I think is very valuable and important, because it'll help you in your decision making as you start to navigate and organize your life. For me, I've learned to study myself and study to see what motivates me, what I like, what I don't like, and why I don't like these things. And for me, my filter was the Word of God. Filtering things through my morals and my values and seeing if this aligns with what I believe God's purpose is for me, what God says about me, what He says in His Word. Does this align with those scriptures, those teachings? And that helps me know, what I like, what I don't like, and not only just not liking and don't liking, but why I don't like these things or why I do like these things. So another one, I'm just gonna kind of hold this here because this is a bit chunky, but topic 3, the time of day that you feel like that you are most productive. So I think this is a really important one because we hear people say things like, oh, I'm a night owl or I'm a morning person. And I think both can be very productive. It's just understanding you, going back to the beginning of knowing yourself. So there's this test that you can take online about, I think it's called like the Chronotype test. And there's like 4 different chronotypes. I think there's bear, wolf, dolphin, and lion. And so you can take the test to like see which one you are. And of course, nobody's probably like perfectly one. There's variables to everything. However, I think it's just good to know because I think every single part of your day can be productive. And what I mean by that is everybody only gets 24 hours in a day. However, I think that having quality sleep is productive. Like knowing what time is best for you to go to sleep, what time is best for you to get quality sleep and stay asleep and not, be waking up and tossing and turning and breaking your sleep, whatever that looks like for you. I think it's important to know that every single part of the day can be productive, even relaxed time. And knowing what time of day are you productive in task, what time of day are you productive in rest, like when it's time for you to just wind your body down and rest. I think that that's productive. I mean, it's not accomplishing tasks and goals. I feel like our society is so task driven and goal oriented, which is okay, I guess. It's a good thing, it drives us forward, but I think it's also important to understand and prioritize moments of rest and moments of, time to just reflect. And so when you know that you are more task focused and oriented at say 8 in the morning, between 8 and 10 a.m. or 8 and 11 a.m. or whatever, then maybe on days that you have off work or whatever, you can focus on tasks during those times. If you know that your body starts to wind down around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and you need to take a nap, then you know that you'd be productive in rest during that time. And then maybe you wake up refreshed and then you do different tasks or you work on something else. But I think just understanding, again, going back to the beginning of knowing yourself, knowing what type of time of day you are most productive, what time of day does your body naturally start to wind down and you get tired, you can have every single hour of the day be productive, whether that's making time for rest, making time for quality sleep, making time for marginal time where you can have fun, making time to accomplish your goals and do tasks, organize, whatever it may be. But I think that that's so important to know when you are most productive in certain things. And I think just keeping in mind that productivity doesn't always have to mean I'm doing a task. Like I said, I think it can be very productive if you get quality sleep. Like that is something that is few and far in between these days with the way our society is and everybody's rushing and our schedules and everybody's so busy. And we have all these things on our plate and maybe have things on our mind and can't really sleep at night and thoughts keeping you up. But being able to know like this is the time that's dedicated to sleep and just have a productive quality sleep and not just like shallow sleep, but when you're really getting rich sleep, I think is extremely important. And I think it's a form of productivity, in my opinion. The next topic that I want to talk about is knowing where every dollar is going. I think that this is another important tip in, getting your life organized, because finances are a huge part of life. And something that I used to do and incorporate in my life, and something that I want to reintroduce and reincorporate in my life again, is the envelope method that Dave Ramsey talks about. Just really going to the grocery store, going grocery shopping, and using cash instead of, credit card, because it's so easy to just swipe or, tap whatever they have these days. But when you have cash, you have a designated certain amount of money, and once it's gone and you spend it, it's gone. Whereas a credit card or debit card, you can just keep going and going and going. But I think it's a form of discipline to know this amount of money is dedicated to this thing, whether it's the gas station, the grocery store, whatever it may be. And that was very helpful in me to paying off my car early. But I think it's just being able to identify where every dollar is going, whether it's in savings, it's going to bills, charity, whatever it may be, but knowing that where every dollar is going, how much money is coming in and where it's going, and giving it a place to go. So it's not just like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, and then you just end up spending mindlessly. But I think that's very important, a great way to really get organized in a financial aspect. This also helps you avoid being surprised at spending. I think something that can help is maybe taking the receipts, collecting the receipts at the end of the month, and just kind of seeing how much is spent where. And once you kind of know like how much you spend at the store, how much you spend at the gas station, etc., you can start to lay aside that cash for that designated thing so that you have it for next month. So if last month maybe you spent $300 in groceries, maybe next month you can lay aside $300 just for groceries. If you feel like you have too much, then to dial it back. If you feel like, oh, I needed a little bit more, then maybe a little bit more next month. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you're learning yourself. You're learning what works for you. You're learning, okay, this is my diet, this is what I eat, this is what my family eats. You're learning all of these things, and then you can start to implement ways on how you can budget and really know where every dollar is going based on, previous history of using those receipts from last month. I think that's a good way to kind of see, how money is being spent. Even if you don't have all the receipts, you can always look at your credit card statement if you use a credit card and just kind of see, and even if you don't have everything from last month, you can be mindful of it for the next coming month. So you can be intentional about, okay, this coming month, last month I didn't have all the receipts and information about how much I spent before, but this month I'm going to really pay attention and see where every dollar is going, and then, adjust accordingly. So another one, this would be topic number 5, is knowing where your time is going. I think that this is another big one. It's so easy to mindlessly be on the phone. I know for me, I can spend hours on TikTok where I literally will be on there and just the lady will pop up like, you've been on an hour, and I'm like, and then I just scroll like, okay, I'm gonna just keep going. And it's not good at all. But I think it's important to know, where your time is going, even if you are being productive. And like, I've had moments where I'm editing a video or I'm, practicing piano. These can be things that are productive or like a good hobby outlet, but I might be spending too much time on this task because other things may need to get done. So like setting a time limit or setting some type of alarm. Okay, I'm gonna spend 3 hours on editing, maybe 1 hour on piano, and then, maybe 2 hours dedicated to doing laundry, and then I'm gonna read. Like having, again, knowing when you're most productive and then scheduling your day around those productivity moments. If I know that I'm super task driven in the morning time, then maybe I edit my videos in the morning. And if I kind of want to wind down and relax, but I don't want to quite like go to sleep, and maybe playing piano is relaxing for me, or maybe reading a book is relaxing for me, then I would dedicate the afternoon time, maybe the early afternoon time, to those things. So still being productive in a way. And then if I'm like really getting tired, and maybe like 10 p.m., 10:30, maybe that's the time to really wind down and go to sleep. Maybe I can start incorporating my new stretch routine to help get my body, ready for bed, and washing my face, brushing my teeth, flossing. So just knowing where your time is going, so that way you don't look up and at the end of the day, it's like, I don't even feel like I did anything. Or you could have been super busy, but still feel like you got nothing done. But I think when you're just very intentional on where your time is going. And then maybe even keeping a journal. And sometimes I would do that, of like keep a journal or keep like a little calendar and like write down, okay, at 5 o'clock I'm doing this, 6 o'clock I'm doing that. And sometimes it may sound like, oh, I have to plan like everything every hour of the day. Not necessarily, but I think knowing how much time you want to give to a certain task. I think having it laid out in different hours of the day is very helpful because it gives you a visual, you can see, and then you can really have your calendar be the one, the thing to tell you what to do. But obviously it doesn't have to be written in stone. If something comes up, it's not like you are completely glued to that calendar or those things and you have to do it in that order. No, you are flexible. I think it's just helpful to have some type of guidance because we're trying to organize our life. So knowing where your time is going is very, very important. Another way, would be number 6 on organizing your life, is knowing where your next meal is coming from. And what I mean by that is planning out your meals. This is kind of tied to the grocery store and the grocery shopping, but like being intentional on what you buy and knowing what you want, like what meals you want to have for the week, from breakfast, lunch, dinner, especially if you work somewhere and you have to go somewhere physically in person. For me, I have to go into work twice a week because I'm hybrid. So when I go in, if I don't have a plan and some type of lunch system set up, I'm going to be spending money at fast food. And that's something that I don't want to do because I really want to be intentional with money. So knowing where your next meal is coming from comes from planning, being intentional, food prep, designating time to do those things of like, okay, if you know that you are, task oriented around 2:00 p.m., maybe that's the time that you meal prep, 2:00 p.m. on a Sunday. Like little things like that, keeping that in mind. But knowing where your next meal comes from is going to help save you money so that you are not making decisions while you're hungry. You already have made those decisions. Because I feel like, for me at least, when I get hungry, it's harder to think. Reasoning doesn't really work as much. It's just like, I just need food. I'm gonna go find somewhere, and I usually end up spending money, and then I usually end up spending money on food that's not that healthy. So having a plan, being strategic, being intentional, and I think that this helps too if you have like a family, that's more mouths to feed. So you don't want to be scrambling and trying to, you definitely don't want to be going to the grocery store while you're hungry, but you don't want to be trying to cook while you're hungry. You can just kind of have all these things planned out, even plan like snacks, what snacks do you need to keep on hand as you cook. If you are hungry while you cook, or you are driving in the car and this might be a long car ride from your commute to work, or you might run into traffic and then you're hungry on the way, and then that means you still got to cook when you go home. And so just thinking about all of these things and just really having a plan, because yourself, like in the very first point, knowing you, what you like, what you don't like, what you need, and what your commute to work is, or even if you work from home, understanding all of these factors helps you really plan out your meals, your day, and knowing where your next meal is coming from. So knowing where your next meal is coming from gives you a tremendous amount of opportunity to eat healthier and to save money. And the final tip, number 7, is really just being a good steward over your resources. I think incorporating all of these different things, like knowing yourself, knowing what you like, what you don't like, where your next meal is coming from, how you use your time, all of these things is just all of what I've talked about are resources. Your time, your money, these are resources. And when you learn how to be a good steward over those things and, organize your life, I think that, things will really start to fall into place for you. These are things that I'm learning to do, I've done in my life, but learning to continue to implement them in my life. And you really see some changes. And I think that with that, you start to earn your own self-respect. I remember hearing in a meeting one day a man saying that, like, when you show up for yourself in these types of ways, you start to earn your own self-respect, and you really just become excited and even more intentional and just building healthy habits when you start doing these things. I don't think that doing these things all at once overnight is not really realistic, but just gleaning some of these things and taking them and starting to slowly implement them into your life. And it just makes you feel better, makes you feel good, it makes you feel excited that you are, working on little ways of your life that you can really organize it so that you can meet those goals. Because a lot of people have goals like financial goals. Maybe they want to buy a house, maybe they want to retire early, maybe they want to travel more with their family, and different things, get more healthier, exercise. All of these things can help, like organizing your life will help meet those goals. But I think it starts with those small daily organizational habits that you learn to implement into your life, but ultimately knowing yourself and knowing who you are, what your lifestyle is, and then where you want to be ultimately. So if this video has helped you and you glean things from this video, be sure to like and subscribe to get more content like this. And if you have anything in the comments, or if you have any insight to share on ways that you have gotten your life organized, feel free to drop them in the comments below and share, because I'd love to see. So maybe I can start implementing some of those things in my life too. Thanks so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.